That's fine. Or if you get a general question, I can take your information and another question as well. Well, so how we're using this, we're taking down everybody's name, address, and phone number, and also writing down the questions. We don't have a mechanism to have a caller directly asking questions to the presenter. So we're having a member of our staff read out all the questions. Okay, so I can take your question and have it relayed if you'd like. Sure, and what's the question? Okay.
All right, we're good.
Okay. Good evening. This is the City of Lorain Consolidated Plan public hearing for the 2020-21 to 2023-24 federal programs. My name is Kelly Glenn. I'm the Director of Building, Housing, and Planning, and we're here to conduct the first public hearing for the Consolidated Plan. The Consolidated Plan is a 5-year strategic plan that governs the use of federal housing and community development funds. The Consolidated Plan has 4 main functions. The planning document for the City of Lorain. It serves as an application for federal programs, both CDBG funds and home dollars. It identifies strategies for carrying out community development goals. And an action plan that provides a basis for assessing the performance of those goals. The components of this Consolidated Plan is a strategic plan that sets goals and objectives for each fiscal year, and it covers a 5-year period. It has an citizen participation component to it, and it identifies the needs and priorities throughout the city through data analysis and consultation with stakeholders. The citizen participation plan is an outline of who the city will make a concerted effort to engage citizens within the City of Lorain in the process of utilizing federal dollars. We are not going to be able to solve all the city's needs overnight, but this is a process. The process will render a better place to live, work, play, and raise a family. The components of the Consolidated Plan are housing assessment and needs, homeless assessment and needs, community development assessment and needs, and special needs assessment and needs that are not related to non-homeless. The 1-year action plan, the city's annual 1-year plan that describes specifically how federal funds will be spent over the course of the up-and-coming program year. Currently, we are in fiscal 2020. The projects are geared to accomplish the goals stated in the Consolidated Plan. And again, the funding is Community Development Block Grant, known as CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Funds, which is HOME. Project eligibility. There are 3 components to eligibility: benefiting low to moderate income persons, activities which aid the prevention or elimination of slum and blight, or activities designated to meet what is considered an urgent need. And for 2019, the low income for a 4-person family in the City of Lorain is $58,950. And the median income for the Cleveland-Elyria statistical area is $73,700. What is eligible? Acquisition of real property, public improvements, public facility improvements, public service projects, code enforcement, home ownership, construction of housing, clearance, which is the same as clearance and demolition, economic development activities, and housing rehabilitation. And public improvements are streets and sidewalks. Public facilities are parks, ADA accessibility, like restrooms and doors. Home ownership would be down payment assistance, home repair, clearance and demolition. Economic development could be facade improvements, food deserts, microloans. Some of the programs for under block grant are infrastructure, homeowner rehabilitation, public facilities improvement, public service projects. Our allocation for fiscal 2020 is 1.2 million, a little over 1.2 million. Of that money, only 15% can be geared towards public service. There's a cap, and for admin, the cap is 20%. We anticipate our program income for block grant to be around $540,000, and getting tongue-tied. The program income is comprised of Title IX loan payments, any CDBG rehab loans that we may have that people are making payments on, and any other type of loan payments. It could be comprised of $540,000. Some of the highlights of the programming that we have done in the past, we have funded Second Harvest so that they can increase their mobile operations, produce school food pantries for a total of $61,000 to date. We also demolished the First Spanish Evangelical Church, which was located at 1714 Weed, for a cost of $49,243. In addition to that, we demolished Stoveworks for a cost of $1.4 million. The Stoveworks site was completed in 2018, but there are still additional environmental concerns that need to be addressed, but they're minor concerns. As of right now, our plan is to place senior housing on that site. Public facilities improvement, we did Falbo Park, which is the city's first ADA accessible playground. Other projects that we have done are Highview Park, which is located on the east side. We purchased playground equipment for $10,699.36. At Central Park, we did we had put the splash pad in a couple years ago, but we went back in 2019 and added additional apparatuses for the kids to play. And we also did a pavilion / restroom, and that was $13,625.29. In 2019, we also completed the Broadway streetscape. Block grant dollars were comprised of $182,000 for the street sign, and that was at the beginning of Broadway till the end of Broadway. Some other CDBG highlights. Over the past 5 years, we have spent $892,920.06 on code enforcement, and on emergency home repair, we spent $515,038.94. The emergency home repair, that program has been running for 5 years. This is broken down in words, and you probably can't see it that well, so I'll read those off. In the past, since June of 2019, Ward 1, we did 3 emergency home repairs. Ward 2, we did 7. Ward 3, we did 12. 4, there were 2. Ward 5, we did 8. Ward 6 was 4. Ward 7 was 3, and Ward 8, there were none. So we did 39 emergency home repairs to date with the money that we received, that we allocated for the emergency home repair program. In addition, I wanted to go back. There. For code enforcement, that $892,929.06, that was utilized for education and training for the housing inspectors. Also, their salaries that afforded them the ability to go out and write citations. We purchased equipment because now the inspectors can result in the field with their iPads. We also purchased new vehicles for them. A lot of the vehicles were 10 to 12 years old. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the home program. The home program, our home funds have been frozen since about 2014. We are working on getting the home program back up and running. We have the money in the bank, but we are not allowed to use it until we update our policies and procedures. And we are proposing to use the funds for down payment assistance for $177,500. The down payment assistance program in the past was under block grant since our home dollars were frozen. So, but we are moving it back to the home program. Then we want to do homeowner rehabilitation, and we have set aside we are proposing to set aside $450,000 for the homeowner rehabilitation. And then we also want to bring back the tenant-based rental assistance program through the Lorraine Metropolitan Housing Authority in the amount of $30,065.40. So our allocation for home for fiscal 2020 is $433,406. And we anticipate receiving $100,000 in program income. And that program income is from people that had past rehab loans, and that's their payments that we receive. And of course, this is an estimate. We can't guarantee it, but again, it's based on past borrowers. In addition, we sold in 2019. We rehabbed and sold 958 Lakeview. That's the before and after picture. I'm not sure if that's a really good picture. It cost us approximately $111,000 to rehab the property, and we sold the property for $128,000. In order to meet timeliness requirements, it's proposed that we correct the ownership of land, correct zoning, additional financing in place, agency capacity, clear and define project narrative, and specify budgets. What is not eligible? Buildings or portions thereof used for the general conduct of government. For example, the city administration building. We can't spend money in the city administration building. General government expenses, salaries for those not directly involved with the programs. So like our housing inspectors, as long as they do work in LMI areas, block grant money can pay for that. But whenever they site in a non-LMI area, that's not eligible to use block grant money towards that. We can't use it for political activities, the purchase of equipment, operating and maintenance expenses, purchase of construction equipment, and we can use block grant money for new construction. Some of the requirements that we have to adhere to when we utilize federal dollars across the board, this is home and block grant, we must conduct environmental reviews, adhere to Davis-Bacon labor standards when it is appropriate, make sure that we afford equal opportunities to everyone, be in a drug-free workplace, have accessibility for disabled people, adhere to purchasing standards, make sure that we always follow the lead-based paint regulations, and avoid conflicts of interest. We also must make sure that we adhere to affirmative marketing and fair housing requirements where necessary. What we are proposing for fiscal 2020. Clearance and demolition. We have set aside $250,000 to demolish 15 to 16 blighted areas within the city. Some of our most distressed wards are 2, 3, 5, and 6. I talked about code enforcement earlier, so we'll be setting aside dollars for code enforcement. $335,075 for code enforcement. Emergency home repair, which will also include assistance with accessibility, $225,000. Planning. Public facilities improvement, again, our public facilities improvement this time will be for Oakwood Park, for the pool, which is $200,000. We are doing a numerous amount of public service type activities. We are going to have a program that's called Boss Productions, which will be located on Broadway. That is to provide dance and life skills to low-income children ages 13 to 19. We're going to provide senior services through the Urban League, and that is educating seniors about scams and how to avoid them to the tune of $5,000. There's a summer program, a 9-week summer program that teaches life skills, academic skills, and career scenarios to children age 9 to 14. The program is called 231 Go. That is through El Centro. Habitat for Humanity will do a program for minor repairs for low-income households. It's geared towards seniors, but it doesn't stop anybody else from applying for that program. We're setting aside $25,000 for that program, and sometimes we end up getting people that are cited and for minor repairs that it's not really necessary for them to apply for emergency home repair assistance. So this program would allot more money to go to the emergency home repair program for those major programs. Major repairs, and the minor repairs could be done through Habitat for Humanity. And then we're going to do youth employment again through with Lorraine High School students, or even if the student is located, if they live within the city limits. There will be $27,480 set aside for that project. And I went over the home activities, the homeowner rehabilitation, $450,000, tenant-based rental assistance, a little over $30,000, and down payment assistance, $177,000. The emergency home repair program right now, we allot assistance up to $15,000. Sometimes we go a little bit above that, depending on the severity of the repair that is needed in that household. For emergency home repair assistance, if your income is 60% or below, it's given to you as a grant, and it's forgivable over a 5-year period, which means you must live in a home for at least 5 years. If your income is above the 60% of low to moderate income, then that's going to be a payment, but you would pay on the first 20% of the loan, and the 80% would be forgiven over a 5-year period, and you have 5 years to pay the 20% off. So they go in conjunction with one another. The schedule, back in February of 2019 is when we solicited for public service type projects. Up until this, I think at the end of this February, we're taking public service type applications. But we physically had the actual workshop February the 13th of 2019. We have the public participation meeting today, and the next one will be April the 20th at City Hall from 5 to 6 again, because we have to have at least 2 public meetings. The budget will be presented to council for adoption. And then we have the draft consolidated plan and action plan available as of last Monday. It's a 30-day review process. The public review period ends, it says April the 22nd, but the public review period actually ends April the 24th, so that's a typo. And then we will be submitting the budget and the plan to HUD on the following day, April the 24th. If you have any questions, please call 440-204-2590, or you can also text your questions to 440-654-8114. But please make sure you include your name and your address. And at this time, I can take questions.
So we have one question from caller number 1 who has concerns about the cost to the city regarding Oakwood Park Pool. They would like to know what considerations have been taken for the use of funds regarding the costs and future costs of insurance and upkeep for the Oakwood Park Pool, and what considerations have been made to prepare for the decrease in tax dollars due to coronavirus. So to summarize, they just want to know what's going to be considered to done for the upkeep and the cost of insurance for Oakwood Park Pool in the future, and then the decrease in tax dollars from the effects of coronavirus in the future.
I can answer the first part of that question for Oakwood Park. The $200,000 is not the total cost of the pool. My understanding, that pool could range from anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. And I know that is something that Lori Garcia, this Director of Public Properties, is working on right now. What I could do is at the public hearing on the 20th, I can get additional information and answer the remaining portion of that question.
That's all for phone calls right now.
Oh. Nothing. Any questions from the audience? If you can go to the mic here.
Pamela Carter, 1910 Pole Avenue, Lorraine. Pools were outdated when I came in on city council, and also they were considered a maintenance nightmare. And even the federal government, I believe, had told us that splash pads were recommended. And so as a city council person, Central Park is one of the areas in my ward, and I was told that when I first came on council that we were not going to receive a pool anymore, and that we were going to go with splash pads. And so, and the reasoning behind that is they said that we didn't have the funds, nor did we have the manpower to maintain that. So how do we have the funds now? You're talking about a $200,000 to $300,000 pool. I don't think that that's going to go over well in my area. When they have, they still ask me about a pool, and I keep telling them, we're not going to get a pool. We're going to get splash pads. That's what we have, and that's probably what we're going to keep. So how is it right for one side of the town to get a pool and the other side not get a pool? And the other question here is,
Hello, you're calling number 2. What can I help you?
I guess I also would like to know where in other cities in urban LMI areas are they putting up pools now? I mean, it seems to me they cost too much money.
The answer to your question, my understanding when I first got here was I was told that the pool would be too costly we didn't have the manpower to maintain it and was going to be too costly to repair it to the condition due to the EPA regulations and guidelines. So that is why in Central Park there was a splash pad placed there. In addition to that, there was supposed to be a splash pad at Oakwood as well. But since the new administration has came aboard, I know that they've been looking into different avenues to try to bring a pool back to Oakwood. And that's why money was set aside in the block grant for the block grant budget to assist with that. The federal dollars is not going to pay for the entire pool at Oakwood. There's supposed to be some other avenues that are going to be matching that money so that the pool would be able to adhere to the EPA regulations.
Okay, you just mentioned that there's going to be other funds. What other funds are those?
I know there has been some discussion about, I don't know if someone can answer that question better than I, because I'm just going based on what I was told to date.
Okay. Councilman Ray.
All right, good evening. Ray Carrion, 2138 East 39th Street. In that particular question, I cannot answer that. I am just aware of what the city had budgeted for improvements at Oakwood Park, which it is my understanding that the $200,000 was previously earmarked for a splash pad in the park, and I'm not sure if it included other amenities, but that cost was focused on that area. So in terms of any additional dollars or partners, I'm not I think at liberty to discuss it because I'm not aware. And that's just to answer your question.
I can answer the question about the splash pad. There was never going to be a splash pad in Oakwood that cost $200,000. There was money earmarked to do a numerous amount of things in Oakwood to bring a playground area that was for the younger kids, because the playground area there right now is more for the older children. So there was going to be that. We've also still have to do things to the ball field, the benches, the restroom. We're going to make a restroom that is ADA accessible, because right now there's not an ADA accessible restroom. We're going to bring, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right because I always mess it up, it's futsal. That looks similar to a tennis court. So there were a numerous amount of things that were going to be done. It wasn't just going to be $200,000 towards a splash pad. And the other thing that I know I think there may be some discussions with the Y to assist with the pool, the cost of the pool.
Yeah, and I can add a few comments just to ease Councilwoman's concerns. In terms of the pool itself, there have been quotes provided to the city a few years back in terms of upgrading the pool, in terms of the walls of the pool, in terms of the pumps, things of that sort, etc. And that cost was nowhere near close to the $200,000 that we're talking about. So it was a lower amount, and I believe Lori Garcia was still working to obtain updated quotes on that. A big bulk of also what we intend to do in that area is to do a lot of community involvement, like we have done in the south side of the 6th Ward. So there is a contingency of residents and key stakeholders that are willing to donate and be involved as a community project to assure that the resources, that we're good stewards of the dollars that are being invested into that park.
Yes.
So he said he mentioned the Y, and the Y is not even in our area. They're over in Avon, so I don't know. How does Avon feel about that?
Oh, and I know there was another part of the question I didn't answer. You asked about, are there other communities that are doing pools? The only community that I know personally was Avon upgraded and did this big pool with the slide and things like that. I know that Elyria has put splash pads in. And Lori and we actually went over to the city of Elyria to investigate their splash pads.
Jack Bradley, 1358 2nd Street, Lorain, Ohio. I'm the new administration. And so I went to a town hall meeting early when I took office in the 6th Ward. And I mentioned to the people that were present, it's a pretty large contingent of people. And I mentioned the fact that we had money available for a splash pad at Oakwood Park. And they were ready to throw me out of the meeting when I mentioned splash pad. They said they didn't want a splash pad at Oakwood Park. They said they wanted a swimming pool. I said, well, we'll look into that. We'll see how feasible that is to get that swimming pool rehabilitated at Oakwood Park. So we got in touch with the YMCA in Avon, and they said that they would be willing to team up with the city of Lorain to do whatever they could to get that pool open and operating in the city of Lorain. So even though the YMCA is in Avon, they want to come into Lorain and help us not only get that pool going, but they want to operate that pool for us. And they want to take care of the maintenance, and they want to take care of supplying lifeguards, employees, so on and so forth. It's our hope that not only can we get that pool up and running, so we can have young children in Lorain learn how to swim, or at least learn how to float. And we want to make sure that since we live on the water, that people know how to conduct themselves when they get near water in case they were to have an accident and fall in. Besides that, there's other improvements that we've been looking at regarding that pool, such as restrooms, refreshment stand, locker facilities, and so forth. So all those things were being considered in conjunction with the town hall meeting that we had with the citizens in that particular ward. But this pool is not going to just benefit the people in the 6th Ward. It's going to benefit all the citizens of Lorain, because the YMCA is going to be able to conduct classes there and do things to benefit all children and people in the city of Lorain. So I think it's a good project. I know that pools are considered things of the past, but this is 2020. This is a new era, and we're going to try some things that maybe are things of the past, but maybe are going to become things of the future. And I know when I was a young child, my dad took me over to the YMCA in South Lorain. I grew up on the east side of Lorain. We went over to the YMCA on the south side of Lorain. I learned how to swim at probably 5 or 6 years old. One of the proudest moments of my life is when I was able to swim the length of the pool at the YMCA, and I want to see young children in Lorain have that same advantage and the same opportunity to learn how to swim, to learn how to conduct themselves in water. So I think it's a good project. I wasn't here when the splash pad was done at Central Park, and if I had a town hall meeting and I heard from people that they wanted a splash pad at Central Park, a pool at Central Park, I certainly would have put that on the radar. So maybe we're going to get some other pools in Lorain once we get this one going in South Lorain. But nothing's impossible. Everything's possible, and I'm glad that we have block grant funds to do it. Lori Garcia has indicated to me that they have other funding available to help get that project going, and we're going to do our best to get it going. So thank you. Hope I answered the questions.
Mayor, there's another question for the Oakwood pool.
Okay.
Caller number 2, Lillian Green, asks, why are we spending $200,000 for a pool when South Lorain needs to be cleaned up? Parks should be looked at as a whole. $200,000 is too much money for any park specifically.
Again, when I first took office, I was told that there was $200,000 that was going to be appropriated for a splash pad, and that's when I heard from the citizens in South Lorraine that they didn't want a splash pad, they wanted a pool. So we said, well, let's see if it's feasible to do the appropriation for the pool. So that money is going to be used for either a splash pad or a pool and other amenities at Oakwood Park. And so that's what the money was appropriated for, and that's what we can use it for at this point.
I just want to say all due respect to the mayor and to my fellow councilmen and to the administration, I'm not here to block anything or discourage. I'm all about being positive, but I'm just trying to, express what was told to me at the beginning when I first came on council. And, I just want the same thing for Central Lorraine as we have for Oakwood Park as well. I believe our restrooms need some attention as well. I mean, there's a lot of areas that need some attention, so I want to make sure that this money is spread evenly.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions on the pool or anything that was presented?
Yeah, if I could again, Ray Carey on 2138 East 39th. I have quite a few questions, if you don't mind, if I could just, based on your sheet, just clarifications and things that I would like to ask based on your budget. Obviously, we've covered the pool in that area, but just to allude a little bit to the question that was asked, when we're looking at communities and you look at it, we're looking at a strategic plan for an area and a city, South Lorraine included. There are many parts that should be looked at in terms of that redevelopment plan. Obviously, you have your infrastructure, your housing, your safety, but recreational ranks at the top of that list. You have to have safe programs, safe neighborhoods, recreational programs for our youth, and that's where the pool will play a role in that plan because it does stabilize the neighborhood, and it follows with the tagline of a great place to live, work, and play, and that's where the play comes from. But a question that I had to do with the next line item with your slum and blight removal. You have $250,000 set aside for that, estimated on maybe 15 to 16 homes to be demolished. And as I understood this, this was part of a match where the general fund question is, if the pledge and the match from council from the general fund is reduced, as some new initiatives would have to be taken into consideration considering the crisis that we're in, would that have an impact on that dollar figure that you have placed there? Or is that a standalone pledge?
No, it's a standalone. The reason why I asked council to match that money is because sometimes there are homes that may be in a non-LMI area that still need to be demolished, and we wanted to still have the ability to take those homes down.
Great. All right. Perfect.
And in addition to that, that resolution that was passed is for a 3-year period. So this year, in calendar year 2020, we hope to tear down 15 and 16. And then this money here that we're talking about currently is for 2021. And then we would do another ask again in the budget for 2022.
Perfect. Thank you.